Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I am an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from Mr. Cato or Mr. Chato ASMR, who asked us, why do attorneys think so much about taking an employment case against a state entity? A lot of attorneys don't even take cases against government entities. One attorney took my case and decided to send a demand letter, but unfortunately the opposing side did not respond to the demand letter. Because of that reason, the attorney decided to drop the case. I've heard many private attorneys say that government attorneys are dumb. Then why don't they take the case? Can you make a video about this? LOL. Hey, thanks for the videos. You're welcome. You are absolutely welcome. All right, so I thought that I filmed, because this is not, I think, the first time that Mr. Cato ASMR has posted this question. I thought that I made a video responding to this. I think I spent time making that video. But when I looked at the channel, I didn't see it right away. So I think I made it and then didn't upload it. Or if I uploaded it, the name was not clear to me that it was a response to this question. I don't know. So yeah, 20 minutes of my life I'll never get back, but that's all right. Let's get Mr. Cato ASMR an answer, because that is on me, not on Mr. Cato. Okay, so why do attorneys think so much about taking an employment case against a state entity? All right, here's the reality of the situation. When you are suing a state or municipal entity, even the federal government sometimes, it's not their money. No one over there at the employer's side is sitting there thinking, oh man, what if they win? What if they win big? I could lose millions. What? Oh man, they're going to take my money. And you know why they're not thinking that? Because it's not their money. It's your money. The taxpayers' money. They don't care about it at all. That's part of what's going on here, right? Like, you make the point like, oh, private attorneys make fun of government attorneys, say they're dumb. I am not saying government attorneys are dumb. I am saying some government attorneys are dumb, but many government attorneys, they're just people who didn't want to work hard, right? They're like people who wanted a job they couldn't be fired from, right? Listen, if you go to New York City Special Fed and you visit their offices, these are the attorneys who defend often the attorneys who defend like a workplace discrimination case or workplace sexual harassment case against New York City. Once it gets to federal court, they're working in like a literal rat warren. Like, there's just these offices with stacks of paper everywhere, like little carved tunnels for them to like get to their desks, right? And they're not making good money. And they got a big caseload. And their life kind of sucks. Often they're making less than 150K. And I think, if I remember correctly, making 106K or something like that in New York City is akin to making 36K in most other parts of the United States. So, like, I think that was a Bloomberg study, if I remember correctly. I think I posted about it on the channel. So, yeah, they're not doing well. They're not killing it, right? So they got to have a reason. They got to have a reason why they want this job, right? Nobody works at Special Fed because they're like, the prestige. Like, that's not, no. Like, people, if you died in your office, they might not find you for years in Special Fed. Like, that's what we're talking about, right? So why are they there? Well, some of them can't read. I'm kidding. I'm sure they passed the bar. But a lot of them they want a job they can't be fired from. Or they want a job with a pension, or they want a job with, union benefits for an attorney. There's not too many union gigs for attorneys, frankly, right? And so there's nothing wrong with these people. They're not necessarily incompetent. Some of them are like legal virtuosos. There's a couple, right? I can think of a few off the top of my head. The fun thing is, when I say that, all of them watching the video like, it's probably me. He's thinking of me. And it is you. So, like, listen, I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm just saying, if they really believed in themselves, they'd probably go to the plaintiff side, actually help people, and get a percentage of what they win. Because if you're really, really good at this line of work, you can help a lot of people. When you help a lot of people on a percentage, oh, it's nice. It's a nice life, right? So, yeah, I mean, they probably would be plaintiff side, or at least defense side, getting paid, $1,100, $1,500, $1,600 an hour to defend cases. But instead, they're making the equivalent of $36K a year working for the city, right? So they're doing it for a reason. They got reasons. Might be they couldn't get the big law job. Might be they don't believe in themselves. It might be they don't want a plaintiff's attorney because they don't want clients treating them bad, right? Clients are not the best to their attorneys on many occasions, right? So that's a reality too. It might just be they want the quality of life. It might be they don't care about money. Maybe they've transcended the capitalist dream. I don't know. I'm not saying they're all dumb. What I am saying is they don't care. They don't care if you put up a $30 million verdict against New York City. It's a little bit embarrassing for them. Like, oh, I lost big. Oh, man. But what's New York City going to do? Fire them? Nope. They're in a union. And on top of that, New York City can't beg, borrow, or steal enough attorneys to fill its attorney corps. Like, most of New York City's attorney agencies, I think, are under, half capacity in terms of how many people they would normally be staffing, because New York City does not pay, and no one wants to be in New York City anymore. And if you want to be an attorney for New York City, you generally have to live in New York City. And New York City is a really expensive place to live. Really expensive cost of living, really expensive taxes. You don't really get much for the taxes. Like, the feds are paying for the MTA primarily, and the MTA doesn't even run that well. And once you get past the MTA, you're like, well, why don't they do something about the rat problem? Why don't they help the homeless people? Why are the projects falling apart? Where does all the money go? Why haven't we helped the people with all the money? Why is the city so shitty? Why is the garbage piled in the street? Why when I eat outside, do rats crawl on my feet at the restaurant, right? Like, there's some problems. The city's got some problems, right? And I speak about what I know. I'm giving you an example of a city that I know a little bit, that I used to live in, right? Living in a little farm now. Why? The city wasn't managed well, right? So the issue is, when you're fighting with these attorneys who don't care, you're fighting with a defendant who doesn't care, or you're fighting with a defendant who doesn't have any money. They don't have money. They take money from taxpayers and they can spend it wherever they like, within reason, within certain constructs, right? You run into something. They don't really want to settle. They're just going to try most of their cases, right? If you ask for a reasonable actual demand on a case, like, you're like, listen, I value this case at $300K. A lot of times they'll say things like, yeah, but this is something you hear with like small towns a lot. Sure. You want $300K, and I can see why you're asking for that. But here's the deal. I can get you $99K without getting a vote of the county board or whatever it is. And there's no chance. There's no chance I'm going to get a settlement for you over $99K, because they're not going to vote for it, because half the people in that room really love this case against the city because it's embarrassing the other political party. So, yeah, they're not going to settle over $99K. So what I can get you is $99K, or you can just never have a settlement and try this case. Okay, so you try the case, right? And then you run into weird situations where you might settle and then they won't cut the check. Or you might win a verdict, you might win a judgment, and they won't pay. And you end up I had an experience, federal judge asking me if my client would prefer to auction off, I think it was a natural gas bus or a fire truck. And I'm sitting there on my phone trying to figure out which one auctions better, right? In a court conference in federal court. Like, I don't know. What's worth more? Judge looks at me like Judge's like, I don't know, you moron. I'm a federal judge. Why are you asking me questions? Fair point, Judge. Or you get weird things. Yeah, we settle with you, but I can't get them to vote to approve to cut the check. What? You entered in a binding settlement agreement. You can't. the time for agreeing or not agreeing is past. I now have an enforceable contract. We have an agreement. Yeah, so I mean, you can sue us to enforce that, but I can't make them vote to cut the check. I'm just an attorney. They don't care what I say. I'm just a minion here, right? Fair point. The attorney doesn't run the county or doesn't run the city or the state agency, whatever it is, right? So you run into those weird things. You also, like, after Hurricane Sandy, a bunch of my clients with cases against certain entities got paid suddenly because the federal aid money for victims of Sandy hit a lot of coffers for a lot of municipalities, right? And all of a sudden they get all this free money and they're like, oh, well, you get a check. That's not what they're supposed to spend that Sandy money for. I can't prove that they took the Sandy money and gave it to my client, nor would I really have an interest in doing so because my client got paid and so too did I. But pretty sure they flipped federal relief dollars to pay out their debts. Pretty positive. In my opinion, let me throw in my opinion, making no factual assertions to be correct. In my opinion, they just took federal aid money and paid a bunch of people who sued them. They might have also helped some people. I don't know. But seemed like about 3 days after they got their federal aid money, all my clients got paid. That's what we're dealing with here, right? So, like, listen, when you ask why they won't take the case, because it's a lot of extra work, it's a lot of hassle, it's a lot of mind-numbing, just stupidity. They don't care. And not caring is a form of defense. Yeah. Well, I guess you're going to go to trial. We'll probably file an appeal even though it's baseless. So, if we really draw it out, maybe we can get 3 years before trial. Then we'll file an appeal. If we really draw that out, could be 1 year to 4 years before you get paid. Or you can take 99 grand now because I can get that for you because I don't have to have them vote on that. I have that authority by myself. And you tell your client, listen, they're basically taking the stance that you're going to win and you might win big, but you're not going to get paid for 7 years, or you can have 99 grand today. And as galling, as annoying, as frustrating as it is, a lot of clients will be like, fine, I have sick family. Give me the 99. I need to do something for my family. And I don't love that. That's not fun at all. So, Mr. Cato ASMR, you asked me, why do so many attorneys not want to sue state and municipal bodies? The answer is, I'm not going to give you a recap because I've been talking for like 15 minutes now. If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. If it wasn't, tell me that too. Let's talk about it. Let's talk. I'll see if I can fill in the blanks, see if I can help a little more. Remember, everybody works. Not everybody wins. Take care.